are here for the entire month with my co-host, Danny Decker. Danny Decker, those of you that know me know he is my number one go-to marketing master. His company is Marketing Simplified, and he and a buddy of his wrote a book, The Automatic Marketing Machine. If you can do a Zoom, Isaiah, I don't want to create a problem, Isaiah, but if you can do a Zoom in on his book if you're on the book. Danny, thank you so much for being here, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Joe, thank you for having me, and thank you for the kind words. It means a lot coming from you.
So what we want to try and do today is dig into your book from the back forward. That's what we're going to try and do. Because we got to catch up a little bit. So I'm going to go to break in a second. Remind everybody what Marketing Simplified is all about.
Yeah. So here's what I've learned, Joe. The average small business has so much potential, right? And works so hard and wakes up early and works weekends and works so hard to, improve the world through whatever their product or their service is. But there's something that is keeping most small businesses from really reaching their full potential and really scaling up and really having the impact that they could have. And most of the time that thing is marketing. Most small business owners don't ever figure out marketing really, right? Because they didn't study it in college.
That's a true statement.
Yeah. And they didn't study it in college, and they don't have a ton of experience doing it. They don't have time to do it. And so what happens is they listen to marketing agencies and marketing vendors and marketing gurus, and there are all kinds of people out there talking about marketing. Listen, some of them know what they're talking about. A lot of them don't. And so the average small business owner bounces from, thing to thing to thing, trying to figure out some sort of marketing campaign that works. And they end up frustrated. They end up burning a lot of money. And I don't think it should be that way. I don't think marketing has to be complicated. Marketing can be quite simple, which is why my first book and my first business called Marketing Simplified, right? At the end of the day, business owners need to figure out marketing. They need to have a marketing machine. They need to have marketing systems that generate a steady supply of customers. And until they get that in place, they're not going to be able to reach their full potential. And so that's what I'm all about, is helping business owners reach their full potential by figuring out their marketing.
And anybody that knows me knows people that are on the show, certainly co-hosts, are here for a reason, because I think they know what they're doing. And in your case, Danny, when my brother needed help, I sent him to you. When my sister needed help, I sent him to you. When my clients need help, I send them to you. There's a reason I do that, because you are actually getting them what it is they need, which is more leads, right? All of this marketing is about getting new customers, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's
somehow they lose track of that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so ironic, because, that is the point of marketing is more customers. And I want to talk about this maybe in the next segment, Joe, and also better customers. Right? Like, not just more of anybody, but more of the types of customers and clients that you really want to serve, that your business is dialed in to serve. And too often, marketing, instead of that, it becomes about, well, let's design a fancy logo. Let's do a video that makes my mama proud, right?
Right.
But okay, cool. I'm glad your mama's proud of you. But if you spent $10,000 on that video and it's not getting you any customers, that's not a good outcome, right? So I think that's got to be the clear focus. Is, listen, the point of all of this is getting more customers and clients.
So let's go to break. When we come back, we're going to talk about how to get good customers.
Love it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone. If it's Friday morning, we're talking to spectacular people. And today, it's Danny Decker. We'll be right back. And we are back. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone. This is News Talk WSIC. This is the number one talk business show in all the villes. I mean, from Statesville all the way to Huntersville and all the towns in between. We hope what we are doing is inspiring, informing, and entertaining you for the next hour. Because if it's Friday morning, I'm sipping on a cup of black powder coffee because it's delicious. And I'm here with my co-host for the entire month, Danny Decker. And we got his book, The Automatic Marketing Machine, which we can zoom right in on if you're watching on the book, because Isaiah has got it all figured out on the tech world. Danny, my friend, thank you so much for being here, buddy. I would love for you to talk about how I can get good customers.
Yeah, thanks, Joe, for having me. And that is one of the central kind of theses of the book, The Automatic Marketing Machine, is that your marketing is not just about more customers, it's about better customers, right? Attracting the types of customers and clients that you really want to work with. And listen, step one is getting crystal clear on who those people are. And that is a challenge for most small business owners because let's face it, a check is a check, right? Cash is cash. And so a lot of small business owners, especially, if they're kind of making it through on a day by day, month by month basis, it's hard to say no to anybody, right? And so one of the first lessons that myself and my business partner learned, back in 2012 when we were building our marketing agency was that if you want to scale a business, you can't say yes to everybody. Right? Because even if you try to serve everybody, you're constantly reinventing the wheel, right? You're trying to figure out a solution for this client, and then the next guy has a totally different need, and the next guy has a totally different need, and you're constantly reinventing the wheel, and it's exhausting. And so we went through an exercise that a mentor of ours recommended, which was really helpful, which was basically, and anybody who's listening to this can do this. It's real easy. Sit down, pull up a list of the customers and clients you've worked with over the last couple years and just circle your 10 favorite. Who are your 10 favorite customers or clients that you worked with? And then what do they have in common? And what happened to us is we realized we really love working for law firms. When we did marketing for law firms, they appreciated our work. They could afford to pay us. And so we went through the strategic process of saying, we're going to focus our agency just on law firms. And then, after doing that for a year, we did the same exercise, and we realized that not only did we like working with small law firms, but there was a sweet spot in revenue, where firms that were like under $500,000 weren't as great. Firms that were like over $5 or $6 million weren't as great because they had, there was too much red tape. Right. And so we zeroed in on this sweet spot. And once we figured that out, then it's just, then the next step is, okay, messaging to attract those people. But really the important thing that I want people to take away from this is you don't have to work with everybody, and you really shouldn't work with everybody. You should you really need to zero in on who are the right customers for your business.
And so that sounds like it's I would call it a business model, right? In other words, you're not talking about who to market to. You're first saying, who should we serve?
Yeah.
So that goes to the beginning of the creation of the product or service that you're selling.
Yeah. But the problem is that most small business owners, because of the way most small business owners get into business, they kind of don't go through that thought process. And really, they're willing to serve anybody.
No, because I'll take whoever I can get.
Exactly. and then you go down that rabbit hole, because then once you're down that rabbit hole, it's real hard to start saying no to some people.
Right. Well, and I'm relying on a couple of those crappy clients because I took them because I need them, and so now I find myself stuck.
Exactly. And so then the beauty is...
Exactly.
I got to learn to pause every time I say the word exactly. Because the beauty of it is, though, once you get to know who the right customers are, then you really can dial in your marketing for those people, right? Because typically they are going to have something in common. They're going to be,
Well, it does get easier.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're right. When I start thinking about who my clients are, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And then if I start saying, but I really do well with this industry or this group, it gets a lot easier. Yeah. And what I want to say to them gets easier also.
Because it's a lot easier to talk to a small specific group of people than to try to talk to everybody. Right? Because if you're talking to everybody, you're really not talking to anybody. We've all heard that. But the idea is, once you know who you're focused on, then it brings a lot of focus to your marketing, because you go where they are, right? So maybe your customers are on Facebook. Cool, advertise on Facebook. Maybe they're not. Don't worry about Facebook, right? You have permission to ignore everything except where your customers are actually spending their time. What newspapers are they reading? What radio shows are they listening to? What social media are they using? And once you get really clear on that, it just brings a lot of focus to your marketing.
So one of the other things that becomes harder and harder is to measure what I'm doing. We talked about this last week, and the concept of branding, you should just get rid of that for small business people. We can't afford to do what we see happening with Pepsi and Coca-Cola.
And small business owners see what Pepsi does, and they think That's what they need to do. And that's a disaster because Pepsi's dropping $60 million for a 30-second commercial on the Super Bowl. And you don't have that budget. I don't have that budget. We can't do this. So it becomes about trackable and lead oriented marketing, right? If I'm going to spend, if I'm working with a client and they're going to spend $2,000 a month on a campaign, it better be generating something that they can use to put in their bank account, right? Facebook likes and follows, that's not it, right? It better generate referrals, it better generate repeat customers, or it better generate new customers. And you got to be focused on that because those are the results that actually matter for a business owner.
So let's kind of dig into the book. One of the sections I really liked was the whole social media and take the time to decide which media I want to focus on first, right? And I did that. I kind of looked at that and I thought, okay, my next place to focus, because you already taught me I had to go to the tubes and I had to organize my new YouTube channel. And now I got to figure out how to market the channel and the individual videos, right? And so I started thinking about it, and your book is leading me to think that LinkedIn is the next place for me because it's B2B.
Yeah.
Right? So talk about some of the stuff us B2B business people should consider in LinkedIn, because that's what I like about your book. You're not just saying go to LinkedIn. You're saying do this, 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 and this.
Yeah. So LinkedIn is fantastic for B2B. It's really great when you start running ads on LinkedIn, like paid ads, not just making posts, because when you do that, you can get super targeted on exactly who you want to reach. For example, if I want to run an ad campaign and I want to put it in front of dental practice owners here in Charlotte, North Carolina, between this revenue size and this revenue size, I can do that on LinkedIn. You can get real hyper targeted on the business side in a way that you can't really do on Facebook and other places. But then, so cool. So that's step one, is you got to do that. But then two, what are you putting in front of them? And the approach I talk about in the book is, listen, you got to find a way to get their contact information so you can follow up with them. Too many businesses, they just go straight for the jugular. They're just like, just call me, schedule a consultation. What if I'm not ready to schedule a consultation? What if, and most people aren't ready. So that's where you got to offer them a little something for free. Right?
Well, one of the things you taught me is that they kind of already you've got to convince them that you're the right guy, because they're not picking up the phone nowadays until they've already been convinced some way.
Exactly. And so
exactly.
And so the way you do it is you got to give them something for free that really gives them value. If I was doing a marketing campaign targeting dentists, I would do a checklist of, 10 things that your dental practice has to have on its website. Right? And then they see the ad on LinkedIn, and so they click it, and then they go to a page and they get the thing, right? They get the checklist, but they have to give you their email address.
Now, I've been told that's a landing page. Am I correct?
You are
or is there
correct.
Another sexy name?
No, it's
for
a
it?
landing page. And then once you get their email address, now all the magic happens. Now they can start getting your emails.
So the landing page is information they're getting for free. All I want is your email.
Exactly.
Exactly. Let's leave on that. When we come back, let's talk about landing pages and multiple landing pages and the goal for those landing pages.
Let's do it.
You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone. If it's Friday morning, we're talking with spectacular, marvelous, brilliant people. And today it's Danny Decker. If it's Friday morning, your business matters. We'll be right back. And we're back. You are listening to the #1 talk radio show in all the villes. I mean, from Statesville to Huntersville and all the towns in between. This is Local Biz Now on News Talk WSIC. I am Joe Vagnone, and your business matters. And I'm here with Danny Decker. Danny, my friend, thank you so much for being here, buddy. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. Good to be here.
So before the break, I was acting like I knew everything about marketing, and I was talking about landing pages. The truth is, because I read your book, the landing pages are the key to communicate with the specific client you're trying to reach. That's the customer that likes you, believes you do a good job, and is willing to pay for your service. Am I correct?
Yeah, and let's talk about landing pages for a second. The #1 rule of a landing page is you're only asking the visitor to do one thing. one single thing. Maybe that's call you. Usually to piggyback on what we said last segment, you're getting them to download something so that you get their information. But your landing page that's the only thing you're letting them do. You're not giving them a menu at the top of the page where they can go to your home page or go to your about page or read your bio or look at your pictures or call you. You're giving them one single thing that you want them to do. That's what makes it a landing page. Because here's what happens, Joe. When you give people choices, they get distracted, they wander around, and they end up never doing anything. So the key to an effective landing page is you got one action you want them to take, and you're going to sell the heck out of it on that page, and their choice is either do it or leave the website.
Well, the other thing I find interesting about the landing page that for years I wasn't sure about is, do I actually give them information that I have that I don't know if I want them to know, right? And you've told me, yes. You give them good quality information.
Yeah, and here's why. So 2 reasons. One, actually 3 reasons. One, people can find information anywhere these days. Information is a commodity, right? You can find almost anything on Google. So the information is usually not actually, you're not the only place they can find it. 2 is even if you give them the information, they still need somebody to actually help them do it, right? Like I work with a lot of.
Well, that's the one thing I wasn't sure about until I talked with you. I certainly can tell you how to sell a business, but there are some things I do that would make it almost impossible for you to implement that process same way I do.
Well, and you can keep some of the stuff secret, right? You don't have to tell them everything, but you got to give them something. You got to give them enough value that they're gonna download it, right?
Right.
And the beauty of it is once they do that, now you've got their information and they can get your newsletter. I mean, Joe, you guys do a newsletter every month and it's great. And you can remarket you can do all sorts of things once you get their information. And so that's like the key here is a landing page where you give them something that has value so you can get their information and now you can keep marketing to them.
So other than LinkedIn, which for me really I like, right? What are some of the other tactics we can use when we're trying to hone in on a specific good quality client?
Yeah. So, I know Facebook is not necessarily the most popular these days. Like, everybody's talking about how Facebook's losing money and losing users. They still have by far the most, it's the most used social media network in this country by far. And so Facebook is still a great place to find customers because, again, you can target so specifically. I mean, Joe, if you want to target people in this zip code who are into yoga and like classical music and like smoking cigars, like you can get that specific on Facebook.
That's remarkable.
It's crazy. And so that's still a great channel. TikTok these days is getting really, really, really popular. For a lot of B2C businesses, I recommend at least experimenting with TikTok, especially if you market to, I would say millennials and younger, Generation Z, TikTok. They all have TikToks. A lot of them aren't on Facebook. So TikTok's another great channel.
And for me, I get a lot of people laugh at me because I like radio. I like newspaper, and my clients or some of my quality clients are older business people. Perfect. So they aren't on LinkedIn and Facebook and TikTok. They don't even know what those things are most of the time.
Yeah. And so
for me, I got to go back to an old school approach because that's where my clients are.
And I love that you said that, Joe, because that's how everyone should think about their marketing. It doesn't matter if TikTok's real popular. If your customers aren't on TikTok, why would you waste your time with it? Right? You know your customers, Joe, and that's why you do such a good job of marketing yourself, because you know where your customers are.
Right. So I'm curious, the book, Automatic Marketing Machine, I get it. I get that you're trying to create this reoccurring lead generation process, right? And you do it through the leads, through the landing pages, then drop those landing pages on whatever media you think people are going to reply to. I get that. So how did you pick up on this? Is it just years of practice? I mean, you didn't wake up on a Tuesday and say, I'm a master at landing pages.
You said it. It was by extensive years of trial and error. Like, honestly, it was a lot of trying things, throwing things to the wall and seeing what sticks. And the one thing I'll say that, myself and my business partner back in the day did really well was we always made a point of keeping our data. So, because the problem is a lot of people go test things, but if you're not disciplined about keeping the data so you know what actually works, then your testing doesn't help you. So we tested extensively. We found that Facebook to landing pages worked really, really well for our business at the time. We found that LinkedIn landing pages work really, really well. But ultimately testing and trial and error, I've made, more mistakes than I can count.
And what I find interesting is we business people are not honest with ourselves. I like blue and green and brown, and so I want my landing page to be blue and green and brown. But the truth is, if I really kept track, the landing page that's red and yellow get more people to it, right? I mean, you do have to accept the information, even if it is contrary to what you think your customers want.
And I know we only have
exactly.
I know we only have like a minute or two here, but a great story. So when I was building my design agency, we created this real ugly landing page, and we created some nicer looking ones too. And we really wanted the nice looking ones to do better because we thought they should do better. But this one that we created that was just real ugly, we kind of created it by accident. Because we were tracking the data, that one performed better than all of the nice, attractive ones. And it drove us crazy. For years, we're trying to design something that looks nice, that would outperform the ugly page, and we never could. But the good news is we kept running it. We kept running the ugly one because it worked. And at the end of the day, I hated it, but it worked. It brought money into the bank account. So it's still running to this day.
And so that's what I want everybody to hear. Go use the data, figure out what it is, and when it's working, just keep riding it, baby. Just keep on.
Exactly.
So let's end it right here, my friend. What advice would you give somebody that's getting ready to start a small business and they have a small budget? Where would you tell them to start with marketing?
Yeah, so start by getting real clear and specific about what your objectives are. Don't waste money on branding. Start on either Facebook if you're B2C, LinkedIn if you're B2B, but honestly, get out there and network and hustle and shake hands and get to know people and build a community. That's honestly more important than a digital spend. If you're at that early stage, you don't have a lot of money, get out there and shake hands and create relationships.
Because that's how you and I met.
Exactly.
So let's end it right here, my friend, and we're going to do some more of this next week.
Yes, sir. I'm looking forward to it.
Get ready, Danny. If it's Friday morning,
your business matters.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.